Another person entered the waiting room. That's good. The more the merrier.
You can probably go ahead and get started, Karen, if you're ready.
I'm ready. Do you want to introduce me or do I introduce myself?
You can go ahead and introduce yourself. You do such a wonderful job.
I hardly know me. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Morgan. I'm a member of the Executive Council with AARP Maryland, and I'm also one of the lead fraud volunteers. And I'm here today to present a webinar on online relationship scams, protecting your heart and your money. So we're going to talk a lot about what online relationship scams are, how to protect yourself, what to do if you suspect a scam. Um, and we're going to focus on all types of relationships. We're going to be talking about scams that occur in online relationships, and it doesn't have to be romantic. It could be friend, it could be a gaming buddy, or some sort of hobby buddy that you want to connect with. And and of course, going online may be a great way to meet people. In fact, it seems these days that's almost the only way to really meet people. I mean, back when I was like in high school and college, you always got your friends to set you up with somebody, or your parents, unless your parents if you were really desperate, but more likely your friends. But these days, friends aren't necessarily that great about finding people to set you up with. I remember when I first came to DC, a friend of mine at work said, "Oh, I know this great guy, and let me get you guys set up." And the guy that she introduced me to wasn't my type of guy at all. For one, he was too short and he talked a lot and he drove me crazy like within 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, I will never have this. She was a good friend, but I'm like, I will never have this friend set me up again. So now these days, people are like, I'll just go online, I'll just figure it out myself. I'll just, sort of swipe right or swipe left if I'm attracted or if I'm not attracted. But scammers know this. Scammers know that people are going online. And they're not just looking for people who are maybe looking for a relationship or looking for a connection through a dating site or an app. They are looking on social media. They're looking through email. Let me tell you another story. One regarding me. One day I got a notification on my phone. It was a text message and it said, "Hey, it's your boyfriend." I'm like, "What? Excuse me? I don't think so." So of course I reported it as a scam and blocked the number. But I'm like, an actual boyfriend would mention his name, not just, some generic boyfriend. And it wouldn't be just, "Hey, it's your boyfriend," like I'm just supposed to pick up. It would be, "Hi, it's whoever my boyfriend's name is, and hey, are you around?" Or text me back, or whatever it is. It would be something a lot more social and endearing than, "Hey, it's your boyfriend," like I'm supposed to come running just because he honked a horn or something. That was like a car honk horn, like how boyfriends would pick up girlfriends and they would honk the horn, and the fathers would be like, "Don't you dare honk your horn at my daughter. You come up here to the door and you introduce yourself." Well, that text was like a car honk, and I knew because it was a quote unquote boyfriend that it was not anybody that I really knew. But that text messages can come that way, just some generic "hey" or "hi" or "are you around" or whatever. It's ridiculous what these scammers will do. But they will leave no stone unturned to try to separate you from your money. So, I'm sorry, I'm having a technical issue here. Okay. So I already talked about what we were going to talk about today. Online relationship scams, what to watch out for, and how to protect yourself. So, what do we mean when we say online relationships? We talk about meeting people online for some sort of connection. And like I said, it could be a hobby. Maybe you knit or crochet or sew and you want to meet up with a group of people who do that. Or maybe you're a hiker or a walker and you want to meet up with people who do that. I'm a member of a walking group that exchanges a lot of information through an app or through Facebook or otherwise online. Or you might be actually looking for an intimate relationship or a friendship, a travel buddy, and you might go to a dating site or an app for that. Now, I want to tell you another story. One of our ambassadors for AARP National, her name is Kate Kleinert. She was victimized by a romance scam. And what happened was that she was on Facebook and she used Facebook regularly to connect with her relatives and friends or whatever. She was not interested in a romantic relationship. She wasn't looking for that at all. But this person popped up and started talking to her, and she felt a connection. And so she started talking to him back. And he was in the military, and he seemed very established. Of course, he was overseas, but they really became very close online. She had never met him in person, but she became very close to him online. And after a while, they were talking about getting married. They were talking about him coming from overseas to the United States. They were going to look for houses. In fact, she did go looking for houses for them because she fully intended to marry this man. And at the end of the day, when she was ready to go meet up with him, he didn't show up. And by this time, she'd sent him thousands of dollars. She had pretty much almost emptied her bank account, sending him a lot of money because he had one emergency, a child in crisis, or he was in crisis. He was in the military, but he couldn't get a hold of his money. But, could you please send money? And she did because she was in love. Well, as it turned out, he was a total scumbag, phantom, coward, cretin who never showed up. She was left with the ashes of that. Her heart was broken. Her bank account was empty. And the way that she became an ambassador for AARP is that she contacted AARP for help with this situation. And she said, you guys don't talk enough about how people are victimized and the impact on victims. You talk about the scammers, but not the victims. And after talking with her, they said, you're absolutely right. Would you be our ambassador? And as of today, and it's been years now, she has been an ambassador for AARP, but that happened because she was victimized by a romance scam. So anyway, we're going to focus on all types of relationships. So let's talk about what you think regarding the percentage of U.S. adults that agree that online dating is a good way to meet people. And just put your answer in the chat. You can pick A if you think it's 12%, B if it's 37%, or C if it's 59%. And Eleanor, let me know what people are saying.
We have 359%.
Oh, wow. Well, okay. Well, you guys are pretty savvy. Because it is 59%. The answer is
Yay!
C. Yay. Okay, you get a prize. I get to keep talking. That's your prize. But back in 2005, only 44% of people surveyed thought online dating was a good way to meet people. But 20 years later, nearly 60% think this is a good way to meet people. And let me just say this. It is a good way to meet people, to connect with people. Don't let the scammers totally scare you away from online meeting platforms. It's just that you have to be extra alert and you have to be extra savvy so that you don't get victimized by these human roaches, which is what I call them when I'm actually in a good mood. Human roaches. They are out there and they're looking to, like I said, separate you from your money and, or even worse, just harvest your personal information so that they can keep stealing from you even after they hit you one time. At AARP, we have a mantra that we've begun saying. It's called pause, protect, pause, reflect, protect. Pause. Let me just say this about that. The internet does not make things more efficient. The internet makes things take longer. And so we need to disabuse ourselves of this notion that if you really want to get something done fast or efficiently, you go to the internet. That's not where you go. If you want to get something done efficiently, talk to somebody in person. Ask your question in person, get the answer in 2 seconds. Emails going back and forth, it could take a day, it could take a week to get an answer to a question. That's not efficient. And because you're not seeing whoever you're interacting with, it you have to take extra time to verify who you're interacting with. And that process could be exhausting. Whereas if you're meeting somebody in person, you can decide, your human intuition can help you decide whether you want to continue to do business with this person. And you can make those decisions pretty quickly because human intuition is an amazingly insightful attribute that we all have. But you don't know if this person that you're seeing on the screen is really a person. It could be a robot. It could be a man. It could be a woman. Even though they're saying they're a man, they could really be a woman. Even though they're saying that they're, 25 and looking for love, they could be 85 and looking to steal. You don't know who you're dealing with, and you need to take extra time to try to verify what's going on. That's why the internet makes things take longer. Verification is your friend. And you also need to undertake this verification process, not when you're all excited, not when you're upset, not when you're panicked or afraid, but in the cold light of your analytical mind. That's how you can make these decisions. So, according to the FBI and the latest information we have, romance scams are on the rise. And in 2021, the FBI reported like 24,000 romance scams and a loss of $1 billion. It's more now, and the vast majority of romance scams actually go unreported because people are so ashamed of being victimized by a romance scam that they don't talk to anybody about it. They don't even tell their family about it. They certainly don't tell their friends about it, and they don't report it to law enforcement. So that's a huge problem. And let me say this about that. If you are targeted by a romance scam or any kind of scam, do not be ashamed. It's not your fault. It's the criminal's fault. Criminals are attacking you. That's why this is happening. Like that idiot who said, "Hey, it's your boyfriend." That person was trying to attack me, and they were just hoping that I would engage. But they're the ones that started the attack. It's not my fault that they decided to attack me. It's their fault. These people are criminals. They're pathological. They're sociopathic. They have no consciences. So do not waste time being ashamed. It's not your fault. It's their fault. And the only way to hold them accountable or to try to hold them accountable is to report the crimes that they are committing against you and to encourage your family and friends to do the same thing. Report them to AARP, to the FTC, to the FBI, to the police, wherever you can to try to help hold these cretins accountable. So, surveys that AARP has initiated and then other groups have initiated say that at least 27% of US adults say they have or someone they know has encountered an online scam, online relationship scam. And 11% of those people say they know someone who's been victimized by an online relationship scam. And believe me, this is not trivial. There used to be this program on that I loved called Madam Secretary, and it was on like maybe 13, 14 years ago. But in 2012, I remember this, they had a storyline about Madam Secretary's husband, so her father-in-law, he was running into problems paying bills. He owned a business, but there were debts. He was running into problem paying his bills, and he was also acting very odd. He was very withdrawn, and the daughter-in-law, the Secretary of State, and her husband, the son, kept looking into why this was going on. As it turned out, he had been victimized in this story by a relationship scam, and he was so ashamed that he ended up committing suicide in the TV program. And this was back in 2012. So in 2012, I think it was pretty insightful for that program to bring this up. But let me tell you, people do commit suicide over this. They hurt themselves over this. They ruin the existing relationships they have with family and friends out of shame and out of devastation. And it's not something that should ever happen because of what a criminal does or tries to do. So other surveys say that 17% of US adults say a friend or romantic partner has met online, and this particular friend or romantic partner has asked for money. And 53% of US adults have reported a negative effect on their physical and emotional health. So I mentioned suicide and ruined relationships and devastation just a minute ago. When you are attacked by these criminals, it can mess with your mind. And it can cause you to want to withdraw and to not trust yourself or anyone else. So it's important to try not to withdraw and to get support. And one thing is to talk to somebody who's going to understand what it is you're going through. So you want to talk to somebody who is supportive, maybe a fraud buddy, maybe a trusted family member or a trusted friend who's going to understand that this isn't your fault and will have some helpful suggestions on what to do for next steps. And we're going to talk about those a little bit later. The other thing that I want to mention about online relationship scams is that generally speaking, when we talk about scams in the AARP universe, we talk about how scams are are reach people because somebody calls them from out of the blue. And there's like an immediate request for money, or there's an immediate like situation presented that causes the person being contacted to panic. Online relationship scams differ in a couple of ways from that typical garden variety scam. This online relationship scams often take what we call the long con. So that means these people will spend weeks, even months, even years trying to establish a trust relationship, trying to convince you that they're really great, that they only want the best for you. They can spend months or even years doing this. And so the demand for money could, as a result, take weeks, months, or even years to come, but it will come. Believe me, it will come as night follows day. That demand for money will come. And then that criminal will say, well, if you loved me, when you put up a resistance at first, that criminal will say, well, you said you loved me. We're planning this life together. You know I'm in trouble. The least you can do is help me. And then you feel guilty. And you're like, well, I don't have the 50,000 you were asking for. I only have 10, but I will wire that to you right away because of course I love you. And of course I want you to get your pet's toenails manicured. So let me send you that $10,000. Um, so so that's one thing that they will do. And they will just coerce you into believing that you owe them this money. That's the least you can do. What can you do about that? Again, verification is your friend. And if you're connecting with somebody online, you have to ask again and again and again, who are you? You have to do reverse lookups. You, if this person says they're in the military, if they're in another country, that's a red flag. If this person says they're in black ops or, that they're, a business executive and they're working deep undercover, but they really think you're amazing, or this person says, "Oh my God, you sound so beautiful. You sound so smart. You sound so this, that, and the other." These are red flags, and you really want to back away, pause a lot. Pause, 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 and maybe just cut off communication. You want to reflect. And by reflect, I mean you want to do research. So if this person sends you a picture and they look like they just stepped off the cover of GQ or Esquire magazine, find that picture online because I bet that picture is a stock model photo taken from somewhere else. And then you want to protect. You don't want to divulge any personal information to this person unless you've met them in person. Don't divulge any personal information to a screen. And you also want to make sure that this person shows up when you make plans to meet. And you also want to never, ever give any money to somebody whose only contact is through a computer screen. Don't give them any money. I don't care how many pets they have getting their toenails manicured. Do not give them any money. That's how you protect yourself. So here's an example of a person, and yeah, he's easy on the eyes, right? Not at all bad looking. He's an English male fashion model, supposedly, and started a career after winning a televised model search, and he has shown up on your computer screen looking to start a relationship with you. Aren't you lucky? No, you're not. This is a criminal trying to get in your pockets. Red flags. This person wants to move to another means of communication early on. So maybe you meet this contact on Match.com or Plenty of Fish or through Facebook or some other platform. But this person says, "Well, listen, I'd really like to get to know you better, but I feel like, my privacies, your privacy and my privacy are at risk. Why don't we move to, Signal or some other platform where we can talk without, people eavesdropping?" Red flag, major red flag. Pause, reflect, protect. Stop communicating with this person because you don't need to do that. What about if after one contact or even a couple of contacts, they think you're the greatest thing since sliced bread? They think "Oh my God, you sound so beautiful. I can't wait to meet you in person. Oh my God, you sound so handsome. I can't wait to connect with you. Oh my God, your career, your profession. I can't believe you're in the military. This is amazing." It's what we call love bombing. That's an actual technique. And there are playbooks. I Believe me, there are playbooks that scammers have developed that talk about love bombing and how to talk to someone so that they feel more and more inclined to let down their guard and to trust you and to be convinced to get into some sort of relationship with you. So this person claims to be from the US, but of course they're traveling. They're working overseas or they're in the military because they're always in the military. They're serving their country. Or how about they plan to visit, but it never happens, as in our Ambassador Kate Kleinert's situation. Or they ask for money because it's always an emergency. It's always a financial setback. "I have my money in a Swiss bank account, but I can't get to it right now." Really? How much money do you have? 5 cents? If you really need money, maybe, I don't know, go to a bank and get a loan. I don't know. Why don't you try that? But no, 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 it's an emergency because my pet's paws they need that spa treatment, and I just don't know what will happen if we can't do that for my pet. And if you love me, you would help me. So if you suspect a scam, You can do something called reverse image on their photo, and you'd be surprised how many of these photos are literally stock photos, and they're readily available because they have no copyright protections. So if you see that, cut off contact immediately because you already know that they have lied to you. You don't want to start a relationship with a liar. You just don't. You want to cut off contact immediately. You don't ever want to send money in any form. You don't ever want to engage in investing with them. I mean, another way in which these relationships start is, hey, um, I, I'm wondering if maybe we can connect. I saw you on Facebook and I heard that you lost your husband or your wife, a month ago. Hey, that was me too. And I was so worried about my financial situation. So I did start investing in crypto. I got some really good advice from my brother-in-law, and he mentioned, investing in Ethereum. And now I'm financially secure. And I'm doing great, and maybe I can help you if you're worried about your financial situation. No, run fast, run far, after reporting them, of course, because it's a criminal trying to get your money. What you can do, and one thing we often encourage people to do, is to contact the AARP Fraud Watch Network, and you see the number on the screen. This number is staffed by trained volunteers, actual humans, no robots involved, who are trained to help you figure out what to do. You can report attempted scams. You can report if you have been scammed. You can find out from this trained volunteer what to do if you have been victimized and you had money stolen as a result. The helpline is staffed from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. And these volunteers are here to help, believe you me. In fact, the AARP Fraud Watch Network is the largest non-law enforcement reporter of scams in the country. Please make it a point if anybody tries or if you have been victimized, report them to the AARP Fraud Watch Network. And if you have a smartphone, make sure that you enable spam filtering or scam filtering on your phone. That's what I do. So I got a phone call a few minutes ago today, and my Google phone said screening a suspicious phone number. And when I saw the number, I thought, I don't know that number. Whoever that is can leave a message. So you want to get into the habit of doing that. And most iPhones, Google Pixel phones, Samsung phones, most phones have that sort of application as a part of the network, as a part of the apps that are on the phone. So take advantage of that. The other thing that I want to mention to you is that because of the devastation that happens especially with romance scams, but even with online relationship scams, AARP has a support network. And what you can do is you can contact AARP, and it's free to anyone. You don't have to be a member of AARP to join to use this. But you can contact AARP, and AARP will set up a Zoom um, network, or not a Zoom network, but a Zoom call that's confidential, that's facilitated by a trained facilitator, and it will include other people who've been victimized in a similar manner. And you can talk about how you feel and what happened and what you're doing, or just the feelings that you've had to deal with because of the criminal attack that happened to you. And you will be in an audience of people who understand exactly what you're going through, and you'll be in a supportive network, and maybe that can help you move past the devastation and get to recovery. And AARP is one of the first organizations in the country to recognize how devastating, especially online relationships can be. And so that's why we are heavily invested in helping people realize that they're not alone and that they can get support. So, like I said, the AARP.org Fraud Watch Network, it's open to anyone. You do not have to be a member of AARP to join. In terms of the support group, aarp.org/fraud support is another resource that I just talked about. And the other thing you can do is you can sign up for fraud alerts. And AARP has a real-time fraud tracking map, and you can see what types of frauds are happening all across the country. And if you have friends or family that are across on the other coast or far away, you can let them know about what's going on, and you can see what's happening even in your own neighborhood. And again, you don't have to be a member of AARP to use these resources, and they're absolutely free. Now, we do have another tool that actually is available only to AARP members, and it's called the Your Questions Answer tool. And you need an AARP.org email address to use this tool, which is why you need to be an AARP member. But what you can do is you can enter your question, look for the fraud prevention area, and then enter your question. If and you'll get an answer right away if your question matches one of our frequently asked questions in our database. But what if you ask a question that's not part of the FAQs? Well, a trained ARP staff member or volunteer will research and get back to you with an answer to your question within 2 to 3 business days. But again, you have to be a member of AARP to use this particular tool. So I hope that you've gotten some useful information about relationship scam tactics, what to watch for, how to protect yourself. Remember, we want to pause. When we're doing anything online, we want to pause. We want to reflect. In other words, do research about what it is you think you're seeing or what it is you think you're being told. Take the time to do that. Don't do anything in a heightened emotional state ever, especially sending money. And then you want to protect. And you can protect yourself by not sending money, by not divulging personal information, and by reporting what has happened. If it is an attempted scam or an actual scam, reporting what's happened. That's the only way in which we can start holding these human roaches / criminals accountable. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'll be happy to take any questions if you have them.
Hello, Karen. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. I was
Oh,
wondering, I know you may not be able to provide any specifics, but are there any um, identified um, dating sites that, are well known as, predator versions, or is it just that they could be on any of them?
yeah, that's a good question. They, to be honest, they can be on any of them. Now, if you go to Facebook, if you go to Match.com, they will tell you in their terms of service that they take scams very seriously and that you can report an attempted scam to that platform and maybe the person will be blocked. Does that really happen? It's hard to know. Not just because they may not be that adept at blocking them, but even if they are, it's so easy to change your identity. So even if say Facebook blocks a particular person, that doesn't mean that they're really going to be blocked. Um, I don't know if you have a Netflix membership, but there was something on Netflix called The Tinder Swindler. And Tinder was a very well-known dating app. And I think it's still around. Um, and women overseas were just scammed just 12 ways from Sunday by these criminals. And a woman in Denmark who got scammed decided to take it upon herself to find out who was behind these scams. And she found this person. It was some cretin who I wasn't even in Denmark. It was in a different country, but she chased him down and finally got him brought before law enforcement. But it took years to do that. And while she was doing that, she met other women who'd been scammed in the same way, and they created this network, the supportive network. So any of these platforms, even if they take scams seriously, and it's not a favor for them if people are getting scammed. They don't want that to happen. But what the resources that they plan on putting the resources that they plan to deploy to keep that from happening are going to differ from from platform to platform. Um, so I think you just need to be careful no matter what they're telling you. You have to verify and just don't do anything with somebody that you've never met in person. Just don't. Any other questions out there?
Karen, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having this presentation because it's not just online. You can meet people. I mean, like marketplace, Facebook. I can't even tell you what's happened. I met a lady. She tried to be friends with me. I was selling her a mattress. I did, and she
Hmm.
tried. After we became friends, she wanted me to put. She's something about medical power of attorney. She wanted to put. Uh, she wanted my name, her name on my condo title in exchange for me being her medical power of attorney. Now, can you imagine?
What?
Can
Oh
you
my
imagine?
God.
She
Oh my
became,
goodness.
I just cannot believe that she did. She actually said that without any kind of remorse, or it's as though she was entitled. When she picked up my mattress, she saw my condo. I did not the inside, but the outside. And she was a swindler. I mean, I cannot believe, never mind. I just
That
thought you
is
should
no,
know.
that is just completely and utterly crazy. Yes, yes, I've bought your mattress, so now you owe me medical power of attorney.
But
Really?
she
On
wanted
what
to put,
planet?
she wanted to have her name put on my title, the title of my condo.
Wow.
She wanted her name on my condo title in
That
exchange for her being my medical power of attorney as a favor. That's She wanted my condo. That's what I'm
that's
saying.
bizarre. Oh my goodness. Okay, I missed that part.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, no, no,
she
that's
she
okay.
just wanted your condo. That's all she
Exactly.
wanted.
She wanted to be her name on my condo title, half of it. So